Welcome to Shred the Debt, the podcast that cuts through confusion and empowers you to take control of your financial future. Whether you're buried in student loans, battling credit card balances, or just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, you're in the right place. Each week we bring you real strategies, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you shred your debt and build the life you deserve. Are you ready to take action? Subscribe now, share this episode with someone who needs it, and join the movement to destroy debt for good. No BS, no judgment, just real talk and real results. Let's get to work. Hey guys, I'm Mike Boone and I'm your host, and this week we're going to be talking about the psychology of debt. How debt makes you feel. I know how it makes me feel. It makes me feel worthless sometimes when I look back at it, and I'm looking at looking in the windshield at the house payment that I have, and just how little of a difference it makes every month. And man, I can tell you, it's not a lot of fun. But I also look back and think of how far I've come, and how many things I've paid off to get to where I am, and that's pretty exciting. That makes me feel good. But I understand the anxiety that comes along with debt, and I feel like debt's one of those things that just money in general. I think money brings problems, whether you have a lot of it or you have a little bit of it. I think everyone has problems. I think there's no way around it. They're just different problems. If you have a little bit of money, I think maybe you have a little bit of problems. If you have a lot of money, you have just different problems, but maybe they're bigger problems. One thing that's certain is wherever money is involved, there's typically some sort of problem around the corner. So as we get into it, we talked a little bit last week about how this show was going to go, and we did get several emails, and we're going to address these emails one at a time. But I did want to spit a couple facts out at you guys that I found interesting as we get into talking about debt. I was just curious of all the people are like, well, why do I feel this way? I feel guilty, or I feel just strained, or I feel like I'm holding myself back, or what do I need to do to overcome this? I want to just, first of all, I want to let you guys know that you're not alone. The way that you feel is completely normal. The feeling of anxiety, the feeling of depression that comes with owing money and having debt, and the uncertainty and the fear, all of these emotions that you feel, you are not alone. You want me to tell you why you're not alone? I'm going to tell you. 66% of people, and this is no mortgage, okay? This is 66% of Americans, according to money.com, in 2024 have debt. 66% of Americans. Now, overall, according to debt.org, overall, I don't know if this is 2025 or what, but overall they're saying 90% of Americans have some sort of debt. 90%. I know I do. I have a mortgage, so I have debt. You do. You're listening for a reason. You have debt. Guys, we're not alone. We're not alone. So that in itself should provide some sort of comfort that you're not alone. You're not operating this ship by yourself. This journey that you're on is not one that you're facing by yourself. Let's look at debt like we're in a race. We're all on the debt racetrack, okay? Except everyone, it's not a Daytona 500, okay? It's not a 500 lap race or a 500 mile race. Everyone's race is different, but we're all on the same track. And sometimes we get lapped. Sometimes we pass somebody we know. Sometimes we crash and we have to go back into the pits, and we have to, change tires, or we have to change our I don't know. We have to just change our whole mindset. We have to do something different to get us back out on the track. But what we have to keep in mind is, as long as we're racing, as long as we're driving, as long as we're making those laps, every lap we make is one lap closer to the finish line. And everyone's finish line is different. Everyone's not going to finish the race at the same time. But the cool thing about it is, it's our individual race. And when we complete the race, we're the only person we're racing against. I'm not racing against my neighbor. I'm not racing against my friends. I'm not racing against anyone but myself. And that's the cool thing about it, is there's only one position, and that's first place. And if you can stay dedicated to what you're doing and you can stay focused on the race, you're going to win. And it doesn't matter when you win, you are going to win. And that is motivation. That's the motivation that you need to stay on track. That's why they say stay on track. Because we're all on the track together. We're on the same track. We're on debt track. And we're going to win, okay? 90% of us are out here on the same track. Except, a lot of us don't want to accept, or we don't want other people to know that we owe a bunch of money and we just want to drive a flashy car and we want to have all this debt, and that's fine. They can have it. I don't want it. You don't want it. I hope you don't want it. I hope you're listening to this to try to get away from it. But that's where we're at. And that's the psychology of it. That's the psychological feeling that we get. Okay? So when we're looking at it and we're down and we're depressed and we're feeling anxious about everything, just remember there's no one else racing your race. It's your race. Everyone's on the same track, but it's not the same race. It's just your race. And guess what? I'm going to be holding that sign up with your number on it. If you're number 18, I'm going to hold up your number 18 when you make a lap by. I'll wear your T-shirt. I'm cheering you on. I am your fan. And that's the cool thing about this show, is I want everyone to win. So we'll get right to the emails. I want to read this first one to you. And this is from Ethan out of New York, New York. And Ethan writes, subject here says, my partner and I have different views on debt. And the message says, hey team, I'm trying to pay off my student loans aggressively, but my partner believes in good debt and prefers to invest instead. It's causing tension in our relationship. How do we get on the same page financially without one of us feeling like we're compromising too much? Okay, so good debt. All right, so I hope we're not talking about borrowing money to invest money and calling that good debt. I'm not really sure I understand good debt. Maybe that's just me not being super smart. But let me just break it down. So if we prefer to invest instead, all right. So here's the thing: if we're aggressively paying on our student loans, we should have a budget. Okay, so the compromise should be that if we're I don't know if you guys are married. I'm not sure what's going on here. Sometimes it's I don't know, the living situation sometimes makes things weird as far as a budget. If let's just say, for example, all your money's together. It doesn't matter if you're married or what. It doesn't matter. If you're living together and your money is our money, if it's our money and there's all the money's going into one pot. Let's just say that. If we're looking at this and we're budgeting for student loans, we have the budget, right? And I would take, if we want to invest, I'm not going to say investing is a bad thing. I do it. I could probably be paying more on my home, but I have a budget, a monthly budget to invest in mutual funds. So I do that. So that's planned. Okay. So there shouldn't be tension in the relationship because there should be communication, and you should be able to budget for it. So if you can budget for it, then that's the compromise. But you have to have a budget. and I think most of these emails are gonna go back to the budget, and that's how you're gonna tackle the psychological feelings that come along with this. So the tension, yeah, that's an emotion, that's a feeling. But if you can budget the good debt, whatever you want to call it, you want to call it good debt. I believe in good debt. I'm going to have to Google that because it almost makes me laugh. Oh, that's good debt. It's like I don't know. It's like, oh, that's I don't know. I'm not even going to spit out something that'll be crazy. But so good debt. Okay. Easiest thing to do, budget for it. You can budget. You can both be happy. You can get the loans paid off. But the loans are collecting interest. So even if you're good debt, if you're investing that, you better be making more off of the investment than you are the loan, whatever the loan interest is, because that's coming around every month. The other thing is with an investment, it's an investment. It could lose value, so you have to be clear, I guess, in what you want. And you have to be clear with your partner to say, hey, you know what? We can invest $100 a month. However, we have to understand that investment could lose money. If I put that $100 towards my student loans, we would be closer to paying off the student loans, and then we would have an extra. We would have what we were paying on the student loans to invest. So then we could take all that money and use towards the investment because we don't have the student loan anymore. I mean, it's almost like a negotiation to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it comes down to budgeting for it. So, Ethan, I hope that helps you. Next is from Ben in Mobile, Alabama. It says, I'm stuck in the minimum payment trap. The message says, hi, I've been making minimum payments on my credit cards for years. I know it's not ideal, but I feel overwhelmed when I think about how much I owe. I don't even know where to start. Where's the first step to getting out of this cycle? Well, man, I feel like some of these emails are like we should have used them. Should have had these emails last week when we were talking about things, or maybe in the week before. But I love the interaction from you guys. So, Ben, what we're looking at here is minimum payments are a terrible idea. So if I were you, I don't know how many credit cards you have, but the easiest thing for you to do is to use the debt snowball approach. And if you have 5 of these and you're paying minimum payments on the 5, where is the rest of your money going, would be my question. If you have an extra $100 a month that you can budget towards this, you have a side hustle that you can start. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do. We talked about side hustles. I think we even did a show about it. So if you have a side hustle, you might want to check out episode 3, where we talked about those, and get you some extra money. So if you have some extra money, you can take the lowest balance that you have on a credit card and go after that side hustle, and then attack the bottom one. And then as it gets attacked, you can take that money and you're building it, right? You're snowballing it, and you're going to pay more on the next balance. And then you can continue the side hustle. And if you have the side hustle going on, you have the smallest credit card paid off, so you're paying that money on the next one, and the next one, and before long, when you're paying $500 a month on one credit card, and your credit cards are paid off. Now, I don't know what that scenario looks like, and I don't know what the time frame looks like, but that's how you do it. So that's the first step. The first step is laying it out and getting that bottom one paid off, and then rolling that payment into the next one. But I would also look at increasing your income. That's your ammunition to fight this. So the more income you can get, the more money you have to throw at this debt. So that's the first step, Ben. Lay it out, get a plan, and then execute it. Next, we have Jamal from Kansas City. Says, I keep taking on debt to help the family. I understand that, man. I understand that. Message says, hello, I've been taking out loans and I've maxed out credit cards to help my family with emergencies. I don't regret helping them, but now I'm drowning in debt and they don't really know how bad it's gotten. How do I set boundaries without feeling like I'm abandoning them? Well, Jamal, that's the biggest thing here. You have to set boundaries with your family, and family's tough, right? Because we want to help our family. We want to be there for them, and we want to support them. Now, however, we can also help our family in other ways than giving them money. I apologize. There's a fire truck that I can't even drown out the noise. I feel like it's running right through the studio. But anyway, if we're looking at it this way, you have to set boundaries. You have to set boundaries with friends. You have to set boundaries with family, and you can't continue to give past what you're able to give. Okay, because then when you overextend and you're in the situation that you're in, now you feel like a failure, not only to your family, but you feel like you're failing yourself because now you don't even have the money to do the things that you need to do for your own self. Okay, so take a step back. First of all, take a breath and understand that you can't save everybody. Okay, and I know it's that's a terrible thing to say, but it's like you're on the airplane, and every time you get on the airplane, they're like, secure your own mask before securing others, and that's what you have to do. There comes a certain point in your life where you have to set boundaries with your family, because if they're going down, you can't go down with them. All of you can't go down, right? And you have to. There's a ton of different things you can do, right? You can, if you have the motivation that it sounds like you have, hopefully you can give them ideas that are going to help them. I don't know what their health situation. I don't know what this situation is with emergencies, but it sounds like there's more than one emergency, and I would want to step back and look at it and have a real heart-to-heart with myself. And I don't know if you have a partner, a wife, husband, or whatever to discuss this with, but maybe even a best friend or a therapist. I appreciate you reaching out to the show. But what I would look at is you have to take care of yourself. Because the credit card, the default is going to come to you. It's not going to come to your family. So at the end, you're still responsible for the money that you spend. And I understand helping people. I absolutely love to help people, and just to see someone smile sometimes is all the appreciation that I ever need. And just knowing that I did something for someone that has absolutely no way of ever paying me back is all the payment that I need. And but it sounds like you're not in a situation financially to where you can continue to absorb this. And there's a sense of pride that I see with this that's coming with this, because you don't want them to know, right? You're drowning and you're reaching out, and you don't want them to know, because then you're going to feel like there's going to be some sort of guilt that they're going to feel, and it could damage your relationship. And I hate that, but I think the time has come that you're going to have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, this is what I've done, and this is how I've helped, and this is all I can afford to do because it's affecting my finances. And if it's affecting your finances personally, it's going to affect your household, and then it's going to create other issues. So you have to separate yourself from this situation. So stop, and if you have to have a conversation, if you have to give them ideas to where they can help themselves, sometimes I've had to do that, or I've had to talk to people and motivate people in a way that they're able to help themselves and that gets them out of the bind, and it gets you free from the situation. So that's how I would move forward with that, Jamal. So please, that's the way that I would do that. So next we have Nia from Bellevue, and it says, I'm afraid to use my emergency fund. Hi, Shred the Debt. I finally built up a small emergency fund, but I'm scared to touch it. Even when I have real emergencies, I end up putting things on a credit card instead. Why is it so hard to use money I've saved for exactly this reason? Well, let me take a quick drink of water before I can answer this. Okay, so, oh my goodness, man, these emails this week were tough. So, emergency fund, that's exactly what it's for. So, we talked about emergency funds in a episode previous, and the episode previous was that of talking about, well, when we talked about emergency funds, that's what it is. It's not, emergency fund is not go get an iPhone, right? No, go get a new iPhone, go get new shoes, go get wants. It's for a real emergency. It's for our washer and dryer went out, our heating and air went out. Something that's affecting our quality of life immediately. If our phone broke, yeah, we may want to replace our phone. Do we need the latest iPhone? No, we don't. But we need a phone because that is a need. Don't use your credit card. I don't know why you still have a credit card, or why you're using it. You have the money. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds silly to me, but I understand where you're coming from, and I'm trying to have compassion towards your question. But you need to, if you have the emergency fund, use the emergency fund always, and then go as quickly as you can to rebuild the emergency fund. That's going to be that's what it's there for. If you're putting it on a credit card, you're creating debt. And if a credit card is going to create problems like that, then I would suggest getting rid of the credit card. I've said all along that I have a credit card and I use it for emergencies, and that's exactly what I use it for. And there are certain things that, like with home taxes and with insurance and things like that, it's of a benefit to use the credit card versus using a check or a debit card, because there's a fee associated with it no matter what. So I might as well get something back from using it. And I feel like I'm responsible enough that I can do that without going out and spending $10,000 on something on my credit card. So back to your question, though, the quickest way to break this cycle is to get rid of the credit card. If you can't use the system the way that we're intending you to use the system, then you need to get rid of something that's causing you to deviate. And it sounds like the credit card is the deviation. So if you don't have the credit card, then what would you do? You would use your emergency fund. Hopefully that's what you would do. That's how I would move forward with it. I would use the emergency fund, get rid of the credit card, and make sure you have a budget. I'm hearing a lot of things in these emails today, and it's like we're going backwards a little bit. And I'm glad that we're getting some new questions, because I feel like if you guys that we've used on the air today, if you guys will go back, I feel like you'll learn a lot from the past 7 shows that we've done, that you can get some value out of some of the first ones where we're talking about side hustles, we're talking about snowball, we're talking about going all the way back to episode 2 when we talk about budgeting. Budgets are your friends, and I didn't think so for a long time because I didn't know any differently. And now that I have everything in a budget, I know exactly how much money I have. I know what my anticipated spending is. And even if I'm wanting to help my family, I know what my limits are. I know what my limit is and what I can contribute to helping my family with something. And if $100 is all I can afford to assist my family with something, then that's all I can afford. Now, if I want to go above and beyond and get a side hustle and do something extra in order to assist my family, then I can do that too. But you can't deviate from the slated amount of money that you have for your monthly bills. You can't pull away from that and think that a credit card is going to save you, because it's not. Short term, it works. Short term, it pays the bills. However, the debt is there. Now we have debt, and we're not trying to have debt. The whole point of this is for us to get rid of debt. So when we keep doing silly things and get pulled back, that's affecting our race. That's putting us on the sideline. We're sitting there with our car jacked up and no tires on it, okay? We're not moving anywhere. And that's what we have to stay focused on, is moving. We have to make progress. And the way that you're going to make progress is to continue to stay on track with a budget. If you don't have a budget, there are several free options out there. There are spreadsheets. There are banks have their own, if you have an app or you have a checking account that you can track your monthly expenses. Monarch is a good budgeting app. If you go to the budgeting show, I think I have a link to Monarch, save you some money to get a budget app. I know Dave Ramsey has Every Dollar. It's a very similar platform. There's a free version of it. I don't know how helpful it is, the free version versus the paid version. I know the paid one will download all of your checking accounts and all of your accounts, and you can build a budget based on that. But all it takes is a spreadsheet and just knowing your expenses. If you know how much money you spend a month, we're creatures of habit, and we can pretty much know that we spend about the same amount of money every month. I know I do. I didn't realize it until I started looking at a budget, but I have coffee, the very similar amount of times a month. It's usually 10 to 12 times a month I have a coffee, and it's pretty consistent. So I was able to budget for that. My electric bill, all my bills, I have them on an average, an annual average, so I know what to pull monthly, and do the same with my mortgage. So all of my needs and the necessities with groceries and things of that sort are budgeted every month. So I know what I have left. And if I had something come up, if I needed to pull from my emergency fund, I would pull from my emergency fund. I wouldn't use my credit card. I wouldn't use a credit card for anything outside of using my credit card, that, like something that I plan for. I'm not going to just go out here and make a random purchase on my credit card. So I would recommend you guys to do the same. And if you can't be responsible with the credit card, get rid of the credit card. I know you don't want to hear that, but that's what's going to help you. And it may not sound like help today, but it's definitely going to help you in the long run. Now, as we're sitting here and discussing this debt and the psychology and how debt makes us feel, it made me think of something someone told me today, and it was about adulthood. And they said, adulthood is the toughest hood you'll ever go through. And I think they're right. Man, the obstacles that we navigate through in life are, man, they're crazy. When we look at our family, we look at our relationships with people, and then you throw money into the middle of it. Man, it's wild. And you just have to be able to deal with it. You have to be able to take a breath. Don't let debt steal your joy, and don't let people steal your joy. There's a lot of people in the world that are not nice, right? There's a lot of people that are fake. There's a lot of people that think they have, more than what they have. They just like to be flashy. And then it goes back to another saying that I heard one time. I heard someone say, "Big hat, no cattle," right? Talking about, somebody that dresses like they have a big ranch and a big farm, but they're just all talk, or they're all payment. And that's what happens with a lot of people. You can stand around the water cooler at work, and you can hear all the people talking about their boats and their this and their that, and you see their $80,000 truck in the parking lot, and you're driving a $5,000 truck, but at the end of the day, yours is paid for, and theirs is probably $1,500 a month, and oh man, we don't want that. So that's going to about do it for today, guys. Psychology of debt. That's the message today. Don't let debt define you. And I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it again today. Debt is just a math problem. It's just a number. And if you're assertive, if you're willing to put forth the effort, and you're purpose driven, you're going to get out of debt, and you're going to win. Okay, and I'm going to be here when you do win, and I'm glad that you guys continue to tune in. It seems like every week the number of views continue to grow, and I'm super excited about that. So there again, thanks for tuning in to Shred the Debt, where financial freedom isn't a dream, it's a plan. If today's episode helped you take one step closer to crushing your debt, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate it, and leave a review. Do you want more tips, tools, and motivation? Follow us on socials and join the Shred the Debt community. Until next time, keep pushing, keep planning, and keep shredding. You guys, you've got this. I'm Mike Boone, and this has been Shred the Debt. Thank you.